Hello and welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here with another episode of Pivot Point here in World of Tanks. And today we are driving the Aufklarungspanzerpanther, also known as the Panther, Tier 7 German light tank, and we are in a Tier 10 standard battle on Himmelsdorf. So we are in a very lightly armored tank in a Tier 10 match in a city map with narrow corridors. That's a tall order. But we're going to turn out to have a nice game. And this is going to be an exciting one. Again, this is the Pivot Point series, so this isn't about me being a superstar. I do have a nice game. I do contribute to the battle, but this is about a fun and hopefully entertaining battle. Lots of back and forth, down to the wire. Certainly some mistakes that I make here in the late game. We'll see what kind of impact those mistakes have on the battle. I'll try and highlight those, discuss them, talk about them at the time, and maybe some things I could have done differently. And we'll see what effect that all has on the outcome of the game as we get close to the closing stages of the battle. But before that, we've got a lot of work to do. It's early on. I try to get to a little bit of a spotting position to see if there's any tanks that push aggressively into the center alley there, close to the open park in the middle of the map. And we back down once we get spotted. We don't want to take a hit early on here. And a T-71, the American Tier 7 light tank with an autoloader, pokes the ridgeline up there by the castle. And man, he just stays up there and keeps firing, and we are able to put in 3 shots. There's our 4th shot in, and that secures the kill. So 1 tank removed very quickly from the enemy team, and a nice little start to the battle to remove our Tier 7 light tank counterpart from the enemy team, even though he's in the American light tank and I'm in the German light tank. And then very quickly, another light tank on the enemy team rushes our cap circle, jumps in there, and basically suicide scouts, and is very quickly eliminated. So things are going pretty well at the start of the battle. We've taken out both scouts. So far we're up 2-0, and things are looking okay, but there is one glaring hole to our strategy, which I'm sure you're picking up on if you have been keeping an eye on the mini-map. Now we're up 3-0. We have no tanks on the hill. Not a single tank went to defend or capture or contest the hill on the 9/0 line, Castle Himmelsdorf. And that is not a winning strategy. That means there could be upwards of 5, 6, 7, 8 tanks pushing down that ridge into our base and possibly ready to flank our allies and take our base. So when that happens, I'm not in a tank that can do anything to stem the tide of multiple tanks pushing, but I can help push aggressively in the flank that we are on and try to advance the battle. Boom! Headshot! In there, in that location, we didn't want to take a hit from his gun, and the Death Star on our team able to put one into the side of that E-100. He was on pretty near full health, I think, and oh man, all of a sudden removed from the game completely with a devastating shell from the 183mm gun on that British tank destroyer. So we were able to stabilize there. The scores are now 4-4. And we have some good response from the rest of our allies that were on Tank Alley, the banana curved road that's in the 7-8 line. They've all pulled back, defended the base, and so this isn't too bad here. We look like we've got our tanks concentrated in 2 big groups. We're not spread out. We've got a nice force to the northwest, and they're pushing towards the base, and then everyone else is kind of clustered here to the southeast, and we're defending the cap. So I decided to switch back and help here. I feel like I'll be more help with these tanks trying to defend. I can help flank, get behind tanks that are engaged, and take out targets of opportunity. But by the time I get here, the immediate threat is removed, and once again, we're up 3 tanks, and things are looking pretty good. And now we've got a couple tanks here, several tanks that are going to push up the hill and try to clean up any remaining tanks on the enemy team that are here, and then we'll be able to push all the way down the 0 line to the north and come at the base from the second angle, opposite the guys who are pushing into the base right now if we need to do so. So we've got, 3 tanks in there, it looks like, as well as a tank destroyer who I think just got eliminated from the mid-range of the map. But those 3 tanks, keep an eye on them. They're getting hit from a couple of different angles, and that capture it's still progressing, but it's not looking very good. And we can see there are 3 tank destroyers perched up here on the hill by the castle, and they are just raining fire down into that cap circle. And now that capture attempt has completely failed. But we've got an opportunity here to make a difference. The Borzig, we get 1 shot in, 2 shots in, and then we pull back. We don't want to take a hit from that gun. That looked like the long gun, the 128mm, but even the damage on that is upwards of 500 and some change. So definitely not a tank that we want to get shot by in this Alpha Panther that only has 950 hit points. So the next target of opportunity we can see is a Yag. Is it the Yag Tiger 88? It's a Yag Tiger, the Tier 9 Yag Tiger, the German non-turret tank destroyer. Dangerous machine with a really big gun. We're trying to track him. We do track him, and now we're going to try and advance, and wow, we bounce off our angled side armor there. That was beautiful. You don't see that every day, bouncing a Yag Tiger off of an Alpha Panther. And now this guy should be done. I've got him circled. I've got his flank. He doesn't have a turret. I could just chew up his entire set of hit points there, except he's got an M103 ally who comes charging in, and I cannot go toe-to-toe with that tank in addition to the Yag Tiger. I will get destroyed. So I put a couple of shots in as I part, and I need to get out of here and find somewhere else that I can help out. That is a shame, because that would have been some tasty, tasty Tier 9 damage and XP that we would have racked up there. We had a great opportunity to do some damage to that Yag Tiger, but just wasn't quite meant to be. But speaking of opportunities, another one presents itself. This is the T110E3 American Tier 10 non-turret tank destroyer, and we've got the rear of his tank while he's engaged with some other tanks frontally. And he's already tracked. We were going to go for a track, but we don't need to. Instead, we will just pump shots into his engine deck, and we were able to secure the kill there for our second of the game. And now we're going to look to see what the next target is. And I could have advanced down the alley there, but I thought it's probably not a smart thing to do. A bit of a driving error there as I get stuck up on the rubble. But I'm able to sneak through past the T-28 prototype on my team. And now, since those two allies, the E-100 and the T-28 prototype, are securing this corner, I'm going to try and flank, come around, and provide two angles of attack here to see if I can have a good influence. Now, we're up 2 tanks, so things are still going well. And whoa, that's an IS-3. We don't want to hang around with him. He does miss his shot. We're able to zoom around, but we're going to try and engage the T-110E5. And we've got a couple of shots going in. One, we bounce off, I think that just hit the top of his engine deck. We put one into the side of his turret and fire again as we're trying to get out of there. We don't want to get shot by that gun. 120 millimeter on that tank could again do some damage to us very quickly. Now, this is one of the mistakes that I think I make. It's now 3 tanks to 3. Look at the health of the E-100 and the T-20 prototype. They are on such low health. I was worried the T-110E5 was going to chase me down the alley, and instead I don't think he did. He came back this way. I should have turned around and engaged from the flank that I just did instead of making this full circuit and coming all the way around here. It just takes too long. My allies have too little health. The T-28 prototype is eliminated, so now it's just the E-100. And man, I don't know if these guys don't have any high explosive loaded, because if they did, they could splash him and take him out. So again, this is taking way too long, way too long. I think that's the M103 that's coming down towards me. I need to get out of there. We do get the rear of the IS-3, and so we're just going to try to go to town as fast as the DPM can handle. I don't want this E-100 to get hit. I need him to stay in the game. Oh, we bounced there. That was bad. Let's see if we can finish off. Yes, we can. We've got to put one into the rear of his tank, and now we got to try and help out with the T-110E5. And we've got his side, but he's angling towards us. We track him, and if I had stopped right what I was doing and stayed down, I guess I could have started to pump some shots in there and really try to keep him tracked. But the gun depression on the T-110E5 in reality is good enough. And then I'm trying to shoot his side here, but the gun depression over the rear of this tank is brutal, and I'm not able to get the gun down low enough to go into the side of his hull armor. Instead, I'm shooting him in the turret, and that's not going to work. The T-110E5's hull turret is really, really strong, and he puts one into my engine, and that was the only advantage I had, was my mobility, and now it is gone. And the T-110E5, a very superior tank to my own, is able to hunt me down and eliminate me from the game. Oh, that looked like such potential. I really thought we had a chance there to help our allies carry it, but a couple of mistakes for me. It took a little bit too long to get in the position, and that is a loss, a heartbreaking loss. 3,000 damage in a Tier 7 light tank in a Tier 10 game, and it's only good enough for a second class mastery badge. We didn't put up any of the epic medals required to turn a loss into a win in terms of the XP rewarded. I think that's a mechanic in the game. If you get a high caliber and your team loses, the XP you're rewarded is the same as if you had won, as opposed to taking the penalty for the loss. But because we weren't able to do that, our damage goes to waste. Our great game goes to waste. We only get 1,148 base XP for that game. Not an impressive total, even though I thought we had a really nice result there, really nice influence on the game. Given the tank that we had, given the matchup that we had, we did what we could, And hey, you can't hang your head in shame putting up 3,000 damage in a light tank in a tier 10 game, but I just can't help but feel like I left something on the table there. So a couple of things to learn from the end of the battle. I needed to be more aggressive. I needed to put more pressure on from the flanks. But even if I had done everything right, could I have saved that? Could I have turned that one around? I don't know if I could have, but I feel like I had a shot at it. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was an entertaining battle. It was close, right down to the wire, back and forth, showing off some nice mechanics there in the light tank, showing off a little bit of a nail biter at the end, and hey, you can't win them all. Sometimes they're going to be losses. So if you enjoyed that, please feel free to give a thumbs up. I do appreciate it. It helps the channel out, helps get a little more exposure. And if you enjoyed that a lot, feel free to subscribe so that you're notified of future content. Thank you for joining me. See you next time.